So that kind of leads to like, how do you operate knowing that you can't control shit?
Yeah.
And it's difficult to find out the thing that you actually want to, achieve or pursue. I think we've created a new kind of like I would say metaphor.
Yeah.
Something called the 5-step plan.
No. That's incorrect.
We were reviewing our notes and I could not get it right. It's the 5-foot plan. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think it was just some just like whatever thing you were telling me about 5-year plans, and I was like, people don't need 5-year plans, they need 5-foot plans.
5 foot.
Because this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with like certainty and accuracy. Like 5 years in the future is as uncertain as it gets, and whatever your guess is going to be inaccurate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But 5 feet in front of you is very clear.
Yeah.
Like just looking around, you can see with really good detail. Like
things are clear.
Yeah, things are clear 5 feet around you, and so that's kind of like the scope that like we're thinking in. You know what I mean? We're not worrying about what's going to happen next year.
Yeah.
We're just focused on the next step.
What's right in front of us? What is obvious? What is clear to me? Yeah. If it's not clear, if it's not obvious, if it's not around me, it's not my place to worry about it. Honestly, it's kind of like out of sight.
Other things to focus on.
Right, out of sight, out of mind. And normalize having visions that you don't, like these 5-year plans, which I can equate to like your dream life, your dream vision, whatever. Normalize not knowing how to get there yet. Yeah. I don't think it's for this version of you to figure out because you don't have enough information.
Yeah, I mean, and if you knew exactly how to do it, you would probably already be there.
Yeah. It'd be done. It wouldn't be hard for you. Like brushing your teeth is not something you have to make a 5-year plan about. You know how to do it. And I think that's what's silly in retrospect. If you saw someone trying to make a plan about like how to tie their shoes, you'd be like, why would you ever do that? You know, and that's probably how people who have the thing that you want are looking.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I mean, like people reaching out to me like, oh, how do you get a job in like a data science job? And it's like, it's kind of so boring because it's like been there, done like, that. Oh, that's easy. Kind of what's the next thing? Like I'm now thinking about, how do you build a team? Like how do you get cash flow positive in business?
I hate that.
How do you make $1 million business? You know what I mean? Those are things that are interesting to me, but talk to someone that's ahead of me, they're like, $1 million, that's boring. Like I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about how to get to 10 million or how to get to 100 million or how to get to 1 billion.
Yeah.
And so it's all these like different levels, and like once you kind of hit that checkpoint, once you beat that level in the game, like it's kind of boring to kind of play that level again. You know?
Right. And I don't think the people who achieved what you're trying to achieve in your 5-year plan, I don't think that they achieved it by creating a 5-year plan 5 years prior to them getting there. They just had to do stuff. They had to like do it. There's no other way around it. Right. A lot of the questions that like I get or you get for people who I guess like are learning to get where we are and that we're learning to get where other people are, the answer is always some variation of do it. Like it's always some type of different font of do it.
Because
just get started.
And this is what we were talking about earlier. Like the only thing between you and your goal is knowledge. You know what I mean? You just lack the knowledge.
Yes.
That is kind of required to make that thing obvious.
Yeah. And how do you get knowledge? You have to take action.
Yeah.
That's how you
knowledge comes from experience.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of be doing things to gain experience, to gain the knowledge.
Exactly. So I thought about it in like 2 steps. Or like how you can shift from this 5-year plan mentality to a 5-foot plan. So one, I think at the origin, you have to understand and get very clear and accurate on your desire. Because like we were saying earlier, there's no point in you creating a plan about anything if you don't want it. Like if you don't want the outcome or the goal or won't make you feel the way you want to feel, there's no point in pursuing it. Dream life is really heavily rooted on you, authentic, specific, because it has to be something you like, or it's not your dream life, it's someone else's, right? And so you need to understand what you actually want. And then after you understand what you want, you need to take the quick and obvious action, not 5-year action, like obvious action, because you're trying obvious next step. This is you. This is your future self. You're trying to close that gap, okay, to where you are your future self. That's kind of like the whole point. And you can't become your future self by delaying what your future self does, you know?
Yeah.
So let's start with number one, like really understanding what you want, like getting clear on that and getting accurate on that. And there's nothing more accurate than looking right in front of you. Like it's real, you know? And so
what do you already do?
What are you already doing? And it's like, you don't have to guess, like, oh, let me think of some new hobby that I would like. No, it's look at the data, like look at what you already do instead of trying to find new, like, do not look up like new hobbies in 2024.
Millionaire hobbies in 2024.
Don't look, because you're guaranteed to get what other people consider a dream life, not you. And so that's why it's good to look at what you like. If you're so lost on this, you can always just take things day by day. Like go throughout your day today or tomorrow. What is always a hell yes for you? Like you're excited when you think about it. You're excited when you do it. You feel good even if it's something like working out, where like maybe you're not excited in the beginning, but afterwards you're like, this is good. Like I'm just there. Without a doubt, this is a good activity in my life. And then there's things that will feel the complete opposite. Like either you go to even if it's a college class, like you go to one of your classes and you're like, this subject makes me want to die, like, or talking to this person drains me, or going to this party feels like hell, like my body is in hives, like just being around this thing. Those are your hell no's. So if you look at your hell yeses and hell no's, you can kind of think about it like, if I'm doing my hell yeses, I'm moving closer to the things that make me feel good, and when I'm doing my hell no's, I'm moving either away from the things that make me feel good, or I'm moving closer to things that don't make me feel good. And who would do that? So it becomes very clear what you like and what you don't like. So start noticing that throughout your life. And one thing here is, when you're looking at the data, don't skip over things. Like don't like sleep on the frivolous, silly little things. It doesn't have to be hobbies or these titles or professional activities,
or what people typically think of as like productive.
Exactly. It can be literally anything. Everything is a clue. Even if you're not a professional baker and you like baking, it's a clue. I'm not saying it's the thing or the profession. Again, we're not labeling anything. Exactly. We're not labeling anything yet. It's a piece of the puzzle. So it can be the feeling while you're baking that gives you a clue or a sign. It's not a coincidence. These things are not a coincidence. Like a lot of times, like people will be like, well, I mean, what am I going to do? Like start sewing clothes? I'm going to be, they immediately start from the activity and jump to a job. That's not what we're doing here. It's just identifying what makes you feel good, because sometimes it's when you combine it, like somebody who is sewing, someone who likes sewing, someone who likes baking. They also like making like arts and crafts. If you put that all in a category, it sounds very similar, right? Like maybe they like doing things with their hands. Who knows? That could be like someone who teaches people eventually, like someone who teaches people how to do that, or someone who does it for themselves, or like whatever. And in isolation, these things don't always mean a job right away. Like for me, I used to think like, I like graphic design. Like I like watching it. I like doing it a little bit. I'm not like a Adobe pro, but I like it. And it wasn't at the time for me to understand what that meant. I just had to take note of it. Like now I like, it's like, it was something I liked, but I wouldn't do it all day. It's not like my full-time job, but it was something I liked enough. But now I see how it fits into the bigger picture. I need design to do what I want to do. Like being a, YouTuber or creator, I need to know how to design my own things. I can't wait on people. I have a very specific vision. And now I see how it fits into the bigger picture. But I should have all I had to do then is just keep doing it. Like I didn't have to know what it meant.
And an example, like from my kind of journey, like in college, we were event planners. So that seems completely unrelated to anything that I would ever do. But so I was planning these events. Well, I guess it could be related to music, and I guess that was my entry point into it. But anyway, I was an event planner. And then later, I kind of got into data science and machine learning and like these technical types of things. And I've kind of always enjoyed like social interactions, like kind of talking to people, having interesting conversations, kind of just joking around and being goofy. I mean, all these things could seem like unrelated, But now in the data entrepreneurs, the community that I'm running, all these things are coming together. You know, the technical stuff with the social side and the event planning, you know, they're coming together to make the data entrepreneurs. And, you know, before starting the community, there was really no, you know, like when I was an event planner in college, there was no way I would have predicted in 8 years or however far into the future I would start this community and use these skills again. You know what I mean? But the community is like something that provides me value because like the whole motivation there was like, I couldn't find any mentors. I couldn't find any like-minded people to talk to that were on a similar journey as me.
Yeah.
But then I was able to bring together all these experiences and skills in a unique way to create something new.
To do that.
And that something is fully aligned with, you know, what I want and what I can do. You know?
Right. And at the time, 8 years ago, event planning, in a way, there was something about it that felt good to you. So you just kept doing it. And that allowed you to get to the skill level that you got to, which is necessary for the step now when creating the data entrepreneur. So like, I just think like those are like, life gives you clues and we don't all have the same clues. That's the fun part about it. You know, like everybody has different things and it comes, if you keep doing the things that you like doing, they will come together eventually. So like another thing I want to talk about here is like the misconceptions that you have about what you like and what you don't like, because you have the wrong instincts, you know? Like I feel like when you don't, like we're saying, when you don't have the knowledge, you don't know what action to take because you don't
have the experience.
You don't have the experience. You don't know yet, right? So like, it's kind of like, oh yeah, just get started, just do stuff. But when you have some kind of like preconceived idea of what you're supposed to do, you start looking towards the wrong like actions. Like you start sleeping on things that you should be paying attention to, and you're going after things that you shouldn't be. That's noise. That's not for you.
Kind of like me with the content and consulting. Like I had this preconceived notion that consulting was going to be my main focus and then content was the side thing, but it's completely reversed.
Yeah. What's the difference between the signal and noise? Just so we have it like defined.
So signal is the thing that you care about.
Yeah.
And noise is everything else. Yeah.
And I think when those two things are subjective to whoever you're talking to. Right. So if I think that I'm supposed to be some like corporate baddie, I'm going to perceive things as signals that are related to corporate because I think that that's where I'm supposed to be. And then I'm going to perceive everything else like, I don't know, art class and, you know, hanging out with friends or like whatever, like other things as noise. I'm going to be, oh, that's a distraction because I have somewhere I need to be. So I think there's like a part to this step of like, I would say almost like play and not sleeping, not sleeping on frivolous things. Like there's a part of this to where you have to be like, I don't know anything yet. So I'm starting from scratch. Like I can't assume that I know what's best.
Yeah, so I was going to say, like, you know, to what you're saying, like, signal is subjective. Like, what is signal? What is noise? And your current perspective is based on your current experiences, your current knowledge, your current world that you're in. So it's going to be biased. Yeah. And so just like me 6 months ago, like, what was signal is different than what is signal for me now. You know, so this is something that's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So I guess the point is like you can't trust what seems like signal now and what seems like noise now. Things that are noise might actually be signal for where you want to be, and things that are signal that might seem like signals now are actually just noise. They're things that, you know, are really distractions. Yeah. It's not really exciting, but that's the signal. Like that's the thing that's been working. Yeah. So keep doing that thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I think we sleep on those things because we think, oh, it's easy, it's simple, it's frivolous. People do like there's like some things that my friends will tell me. They're like, oh yeah, I just do this on the side, and it's like some cool activity I've never heard of, or like I don't do like. I mean, I know like drawing is pretty common, but like how they draw or like what they make art about or what they like one of our friends recently told us she's starting a poetry book. And it's like, I've never done that. You know, like it's a cool thing. And like, those are the things when you look at the overnight success and like how they blew up, they just randomly started a poetry book. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff you never know what it's going to be. And you shouldn't have an idea. Like, you don't want to start the project with a outcome in mind. You kind of want to do it because you like it. Right. Because you're trying to learn. You're trying to be curious, right? You're trying to just understand it. Yeah. And you never know what it could be. That's just something that you should keep in mind. Or maybe it's combining that activity with something else and it's an ingredient in a bigger picture. Like, but the point is, you don't have the knowledge to know what's good or bad. You kind of have to start at this neutral, playing ground.
Right. Just be open-minded.
Be open-minded and observe what's around you so that you can make an informed decision later. You just don't know when that's going to be. Right. But it could be those silly little things. So don't put off play and exploration. Right. We have an episode about play and how to do it too. It's very similar. I think the mistake that people try to make when they're jumping ahead is that they're trying to define the vision too much, and they're also trying to define the relationship. They're too early. And I think that's the problem. Like, don't try to skip ahead and be like, oh, well, because I like painting, I'm a painter. Because I like business, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, sure, maybe, okay, but you don't have to define it just yet. Like, be okay with the puttering, the playing,
the exploration.
Like, be okay with that. Like, you're gonna do things and they're gonna fail. You're gonna do things and they're gonna do fine. But don't try to skip the process, because the process is the destination. The journey is the destination. Like, what you're learning there is what you need. Like you said, like, if someone takes something away from you, you always have the journey to rely on. You can always remember what you did.
You have that knowledge, you have the skills and experience.
Yeah. And so I think that's my biggest issue with the 5-year plan mentality, is that you're trying to define something way too early and you just don't know yet. Like, you just don't know. And the irony is that everything comes in retrospect. It's like when people say like they woke up and realized like, whoa, I have everything I want. I think that is because usually you're so deep in the process and the journey that it takes you, after a minute, realizing you're already there, like, for you to be like, oh my God.
Do first, and then you can kind of explain it. And that happens just naturally. And there was kind of a story from Steve Jobs. And it was kind of similar to this, where he took a calligraphy class in college.
Oh yeah.
Right. So he was saying how like life is a series of like dots. I don't remember the exact language he used, but the gist of it was like this: like, life is a series of dots, and you can't really see how they are connected together until you kind of get to the end of it. And then you can kind of start connecting all these dots together. And so one example of that is like, he took a calligraphy class in college, then later he started Apple, and then later Apple was the first one to have all the different typefaces, like all the different fonts. It was the first computer to do that. And that wouldn't have happened if he didn't take that calligraphy class, which seems so irrelevant and random.
This is why just like follow what you like and do more of it, because you never know when it's going to come up again.
And then that, not only is that authentic and meaningful to you because that's the stuff you're interested in, that is unique to you and gives you a strategic advantage in whatever you're trying to go after.
No, it's I can't say that enough. Just like, do what you like.
Do you,
boo.